the door.
Hi, I'm Greg.
I'm David.
And I'm Ernest, and we are the Minneapolis String Project.
When you're first starting out with a band, I think it's really important to choose the right people, both on a personal level and on a musical level, especially if you're going to be improvising and writing and being creative and collaborative with these people. I think that's super important. I think it's really important to also be listening to a lot of music and trying to diversify your interests so that you can meet other people where they're at musically and so that you can be more communicative, both musically and non, with other people.
One of the first times I started to explore what my own musical voice and approach to the cello was back in high school and doing the Rochester Philharmonic Youth Orchestra. And me and my cello buddies, we just wanted to play the music we heard on the radio. So we heard like Red Hot Chili Peppers. So we'd be jamming on Californication before orchestra rehearsal. And just because it was fun and the music we liked and resonated with. And that sort of opened the door of, hey, maybe I don't need sheet music. I can just listen to something and work on it with my friends and have this really fun, creative experience.
What really, got me thinking about improvised music was when a friend of mine handed me a Stan Getz CD, and I was like, what is this music? And then I started to just dig, none of it made sense at the time, but then I was like, you know what, I want to just keep listening, kind of what the Suzuki method is based off of, where you build, the skills by listening to the music. And so I listened real hard, and then the language started to grow on me, and that's really how I started to explore and expand my knowledge of this style of music and improvisation in general.
You develop the language of improvisation through listening and developing your own vocabulary so that when it's time for you to improvise in whatever scenario you're in, you don't feel lost and you have something to add to the musical conversation that's happening.
What I find magical about improvisation is that once you open the doors to accepting what comes through creatively, it's an incredibly freeing process. And I think people struggle with it because they want to filter what's coming through in that creative moment, but it needs to be very unfettered in order to access it. I talk about improvisation kind of like a river, and if you try to grab a river, it's not going to work. You have to wade into the water and let it wash over you. And I think about that with creativity and improvisation.
You learn all these licks and things, and then you go on stage. It's a different experience. I mean, you have like different levels of different hormones doing their thing while you're up there. You might not necessarily remember all the things that you practice, and so just letting go and just trusting and trusting the process and the experience, I think is the biggest thing for anyone who's looking to get into improvisation.